Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Oh, I forgot one little thing is one of these days I am going to remember to to do the 30-second countdown as the first thing because every time I do this, as soon as I say hello and welcome, there's always a little bit of lag before it actually starts. And then once it does start, yeah, it gives you a commercial first. And so nobody's hearing anything I say until I get about a minute into the show. So I always end up staying here and sitting up here and kind of ad-libbing and trying not to say anything because I don't want anyone to miss anything. But now we should be past the commercial and we should have our friends starting to appear. And so I want to say hello and welcome to Kitty, Goddess of Death.
Yeah, well, the vampire aesthetic. It's spooky season. Gotta go for it. Even got my Pennywise nails, my Stephen King's It nails. Got Pennywise over here, a balloon that says "You'll float too." Like, this is my vibe.
And today we have the Lone Wanderer's Bunker, and we also have to thank the Lone Wanderer's Bunker because the film that we are reviewing was given to me by Lone Wanderer, and I looked at it and I said, oh, this would make a great live stream for a reaction. And so, of course, I had to invite you here. Thanks for coming.
You're welcome. And we have Countess Bathroy behind me. She said she was looking for a virgin. I told her to stay away from the South.
Because there are no virgins in the South?
Nope.
I mean, you're not wrong.
That's like a unicorn. You may as well be better off finding a unicorn.
Okay.
It's true.
So tell us, Lone Wanderer, how did you happen to come across this film?
I was in a Halloween mood, and I was looking up Halloween stuff, and I'm like, I wonder if there's any of those Hell House videos, that they put on those, Hell Houses, the churches.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, put it in, and it just came up 10 reasons. I think it was 10 reasons not to celebrate Halloween. I'm just like, clickbait. And then I watched it, and I'm like, that's Granny. Yeah, and then I sent it to you.
I mean, to be fair, B, some people might actually enjoy that. So we'll do it both. We'll have it our cake and eat it too. Hit the like button, or I'll haunt you, or hit the like button if you want me to haunt you. There we go.
There we go. One nice thing to celebrate is this week I finally went over 2,100 subscribers. When I hit that 2,000 mark, it's been a very slow climb since then. But part of that has been me. Occasionally, I've been a bit overwhelmed by some of the attention I've gotten. And so I've kind of backed off a little bit on seeking it and pushing so hard for subscribers. But I'm ready to start pushing those numbers again and see if I can't get it up to 2,500. And in the chat today, welcome to B, no just B, to Purple Rhymes with Orange, to Taram, and to Mark Caesar. And Taram says, well, if I'm to be haunted by Kitty, I guess I could live with that. And Mark Caesar says, no virgins in the South, but a whole heap of STIs and drugs, though.
And unwanted pregnancies.
There we go. Okay. Oops. There we go. Okay. And I promised you a reveal in the first 5 minutes, and here it comes. I'm going to have to take off my headset. So for the next couple of minutes, I'm not going to hear what you say, but here we go.
Oh my gosh.
And it has pockets. The ends of the scarf are pockets. So you can wrap it and have the paws showing, or you can put your hands in the pockets if your hands get cold.
Oh, that is amazing.
Either way. But I made this for Kitty.
Oh,
And so, Kitty, I need you to send me your address.
I'll
DM it
DM
to
it
me,
to you.
please, and I will get that into the mail for you. And hopefully, you'll even get it by Halloween.
oh,
You're
that's
gonna make me
gorgeous.
cry.
You're only the second person to see it. The first person to see it was Erica, because this morning I did an interview with Guts and Gibbon and I showed it to her. I still had one more ear to attach at that time.
I love
And I
it.
told her, good, I'm glad you love it, because I thought as soon as I finished it, I thought, I think Kitty said black and pink, and I made it black and white.
Black and white is fine.
Okay.
No, honestly, like my favorite colors are black, silver, green, pink, red. Like anything that goes with black. Like black is the main one, and then all the pretty colors that go well with it, which is pretty much every color. So, I love it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Mark Caesar says, Gratty, that's a strange looking thong.
Oh my.
And Maya loves your makeup.
Thank you.
Yeah, that took me about 3 months to make, but only because I don't have as much time to crochet as I used to. And I was
Mhm.
telling Erica, if I worked on crochet all day instead of working on videos all day, I actually could have made that in 3 days. But because I've only worked on it a little bit here and a little bit there, it's taken me a while. But it is ready in time for the cold season, and I hope it keeps you warm this winter.
Thank you. Like I cannot wait. Like I will the next stream, like after it arrives, I will be wearing that shit. Like hands down. I don't even care that it wouldn't be cold enough yet, because usually, Gigi, we don't really get the cold days until like January, February. We might start to get a few cold ones, but I'm so excited, and it'll match my shirt.
Yes, it will. It absolutely will. Mark Caesar says the way you've done your lipstick looks perfect.
Well, thank you.
And with that, let's go ahead and get the film started. My computer is delaying on me a bit. So if it takes me a moment to get it up, that's why. I don't know why, but I'm having to click on everything 2 or 3 times before I'm getting a response. Here we go. And we are not getting any sound, are we? All right.
No.
Why are we not getting any sound? I had sound perfectly when I did this earlier today. And let's try removing it and just starting again. Or, well, here, let's try this. Add to stream. Let's see if it works this time. There we go.
Yep.
Here are 10 reasons why you should never celebrate Halloween. This video was inspired by John Ramirez. You can watch his testimony in the link at the end of the video on how Jesus Christ saved his life from 25 years of practicing witchcraft. Now he lives to share his testimony and to expose the plans of the devil. Reason number 1. Halloween is the devil's holiday. People mindlessly celebrate Halloween without realizing that this is the biggest day where witches and warlocks all around the world practice satanic ceremonies to bring a spiritual attack on the church and the community.
Okay, now Kitty, you see why I needed you for this video.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Okay, so first of all, Halloween is like the bastardization of like there's a long history to it, but the holiday that we celebrate as Halloween was originally a pagan holiday known as Samhain. Now it's actually spelled like Samhain, but it's pronounced Samhain. It's Samhain, and the closest analog to it would be like Dia de los Muertos that Latin communities celebrate, where they thought that the veil between this life and the afterlife was thinnest, so you would leave offerings to your ancestors. There were also some people that believed that, spirits of the dead might want to find bodies to possess, which is kind of where costuming started. It started with actually wearing dead animal skins to essentially hide from the spirits so they wouldn't possess you. And that eventually evolved into actually wearing costumes and having like a raucous celebration. But so Samhain was its own thing. And then when the Christians came through and decided that they were going to assimilate these people, they said, okay, so October 31st, that's your holiday. We can't have you celebrating that. So we're going to make November 1st Hallowmas, or All Saints Day, and have you remember the saints rather than remembering your ancestors. And so the night before Hallowmas became known as All Hallows Eve, and that eventually became Halloween. So Halloween itself is kind of not what was originally celebrated, and now it's a huge commercial holiday. But I totally buy into that, because whenever they start putting out the Halloween decorations, I can't help myself. But you know, internalistic capitalist aside, like internalized capitalism aside, the holiday that we celebrate now does take elements from that, with, you know, the fact that there's the spookiness. We wear costumes, which does tie back to more of the ancient tradition of believing that you dress up like ghosts and ghouls to hide from said ghosts and ghouls. There were also some that had orgies around that time, and I'm saying, hey, why not bring that back? I mean, I don't see why not. As long as everybody's a consenting adult, have your orgy
optional
and
button
enjoy.
carriage. Optional button carriage.
Exactly. So the fact that, like, they say it's the devil's holiday, the devil doesn't come into it. In fact, most of the religions that have traditions around this time of year don't even believe in the devil. Like, I mean, sure, they believe that there are malevolent spirits, but it has nothing to do with like this prime evil entity that, you know, Christians have come up with to explain all the bad things away. Even though when you actually read the Bible, the devil was actually not as bad as God. Like, if you're doing a body count, the devil, I think it was like 5 or 6 people the devil killed in the Bible, and God killed millions upon millions. So who's the real bad guy? Just saying, food for thought. You know? But no, so yeah, I'm glad to be here for this, because as a former pagan, like I loved Samhain. I loved doing, you know, Ouija. I mean, hell, I even have my little Ouija board pillow like right behind me. Like I have 2 of them actually. I have a full-size one and then a little one. But you know, I loved the idea of communing with your ancestors, people that you've lost, you know, leaving offerings in remembrance of them. Like, to me, like, it was always a solemn affair, but also happy. Like, thinking almost like an Irish wake, you know, where rather than everybody be sad, you eat, drink, and be merry and celebrate the life of the person that you lost, rather than just be depressed that you lost them. You appreciate the time that you had with them and dredge up the good memories, rather than dwelling on the fact that they're not there anymore. Because in a way, you know, as long as somebody is alive that loves you, in a way you live forever. You know, the memory of you continues with them. And that's the closest to immortality we're going to get. I mean, at least you guys. Like, I've already got that one nailed. But, you know, for you common folk. But no, honestly, I mean, Halloween, like just Halloween, is a commercialized holiday that draws a little bit of inspiration from, you know, the past traditions of Samhain. But even the name Halloween came from the Christians. It's not the actual holiday itself. And it's funny, like, if you'll notice, like, I'd say the 3 biggest pagan holidays are, you know, Samhain and Yule and Ostara. And the Christians came along and essentially inserted their own holidays on those days. Most of the traditions that you celebrate for Christmas are actually borrowed or stolen from the pagans and their Yule traditions. Having a Yule log, having a feast, decorating a tree, giving gifts, like all of these things were pagan traditions that they just kind of crammed into a religious. They're like, oh, we'll just slap a Jesus label on it. It'll be fine. Ostara is the spring fertility festival. You ever wonder why you have, you know, bunny rabbits and eggs around the death of Jesus? Yeah, it's because fertility festival. Bunny
Mhm.
rabbits are for shagging, eggs, like are for fertility. It's a fertility festival. Like they literally drew all of that and tried to incorporate it into the fact that it was a big holiday for the people, and if you want to get people to convert, you need to give them some analog. And it's actually funny, when I left the Catholic Church, because I was raised Catholic and became a pagan, I actually found it easier to transition to paganism than I did, even, like, I didn't want to be Christian, but I did look into other Christian denominations. They just weren't for me. But you have a lot of rituals in Catholicism, and you have a lot of rituals in paganism, and it was a really easy, just sidestep, really, to go from one to the other. I mean, the Catholics still believe in transubstantiation. That would
Yeah,
be
they
magic.
do.
Like, actual blood and body of Christ from flavorless Necco wafers and freaking either grape juice or shitty cheap ass wine. Like, they actually believe that they are consuming, bodily fluids of a dead person that has been dead for thousands of years. Like, if that's not magic, I don't know what is,
Mhm.
And the Catholics are some of the ones that I've seen. Well, evangelicals are the worst, but Catholics are not that great about Halloween either. I mean, at least, the darker, spookier, like, past traditions. They're fine with, like, the commercialized, candy and kids dressing up, and it's a fun kids holiday. It's been really sanitized from what it used to be. And most of the Catholics I know are kind of okay with that, but, like, my mom forbid me from having a Ouija board when I was a kid. Hands down, would not allow one in the house at all. And it's because she was scared, like, very superstitious about it.
Okay,
No.
first, I'd like to address Ricardo's question for anyone else who doesn't live in the United States and they don't celebrate Halloween. What's Halloween? It's always on the 31st of October, and it's also called All Hallows Eve, it's kind of a day to celebrate. Well, it really makes a big difference, as Kitty was saying, as to who you are, as to what you're celebrating. It's a bigger holiday in Mexico than anywhere else, because there it's De la Mor-
Dia de los Muertos,
there we go, Dia de
the
los
Day of the
Muertos,
Dead.
the Day of the Dead, and they
Mhm.
use it as a day to celebrate their ancestors. I've talked to some people who are Mexican, and they get out lots of pictures of their ancestors, and they talk about what these ancestors did, and what it's kind of a memorial day for them. Now, the United States tradition has become that children dress up in costumes, and they go from house to house, and they say trick or treat, and you give them candy. And that the idea is, they're telling you, if you don't give me a treat, I'm going to play a trick on you. And when I was a kid, a lot of kids, particularly teenagers, did do a lot of Halloween pranks. They would egg people's houses, they
Or
would soak
toilet paper
people's windows,
tree,
or toilet paper their trees, yeah, stuff like that. um
Night of Mischief.
yeah, Night of Mischief. And so some people did give really nice treats in hopes that no one would come and prank them. But most people, know that it's not really a threat. That's just what they say, trick or treat, and then you give the kids candy. Now, when I was in my 20s, when I was a newlywed, um, I moved from Wisconsin to Texas, and moving into the Bible Belt, I didn't see a film like this, but I went to a church that very strongly held to beliefs like this. And one of the first things I learned was, don't celebrate Halloween, because this is the devil's holiday, and you're celebrating something evil. And so, oh goodness, I was frozen for a bit there, wasn't I?
No, I heard you the whole time.
Oh, okay, very good. My screen froze. Um, and so I went for years of not celebrating Halloween, because I thought it was an evil thing to do, and it was an anti-Christian thing to do. And then I went to another church, when we moved, and this time, one of the elders of the church, his wife was born on Halloween, and she said, "I love Halloween. It's one of my favorite holidays." And no, it's not unchristian to celebrate Halloween. And so there really is a very wide difference of opinion, even among Christians, as to whether Halloween is a good thing or a bad thing. Okay, let's get to a little bit more of the video.
Oh God. Like I'm gonna need some Tylenol for this, I think.
I have wine flavored Tylenol.
Oh, goodness.
I'm there.
Reason number 2. Curses behind the pumpkin by the door. The pumpkin represents the demon that controls the rivers, whose name is Oshun, type of Jezebel in Santeria. This pumpkin brings demons into your house when you put the pumpkin at your door on Halloween. You are giving the devil an entryway into your house and family.
Okay, Kitty, you look a little upset by that one as well.
I want to take this one.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Pumpkins are a symbol of fertility. Like pumpkin seeds were given to men back in the day when they couldn't get it up or they weren't procreating. But it's also the symbol of the harvest, rebirth. It has nothing to do with welcoming the devil.
There's
That's pretty much what
also
it is.
yeah, I mean,
Go
there
ahead.
is a legend tied to jack-o'-lanterns, and some people believe that it is to explain like the will-o'-the-wisp phenomenon, where you might get like, random lights from like gas pockets in bogs and swamps. And it was basically, if I remember correctly, a guy. This one does actually have like a deal with a malevolent spirit or whatever, but there was a guy named Jack, and he ended up, cursed because if I recall, I'm trying to remember this legend. I'm going to absolutely butcher it. So give me a sec.
Mhm.
And while you're doing that, I'm going to bring up Ricardo's thing. It says, we celebrate All Saints Day on the 1st, and a small but growing number of people celebrate Halloween, but the party version of it, anything is good enough for a party in Portugal. Yeah, kind of same here. Here, there are some people who celebrate All Saints Day the day after Halloween, and
Yeah.
that's primarily Catholics. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so this actually, the tie to the devil, there is a little kernel of truth in this video, because it's the legend of Stingy Jack. It's an Irish myth about a man nicknamed Stingy Jack, who, according to the story, he invited the devil to have a drink with him. True to his name, he didn't want to pay for his drink, so he convinced the devil to turn himself into a coin that Jack could use to buy their drinks. Once the devil did so, Jack decided to keep the money and put it in his pocket next to a silver cross, which prevented the devil from changing back into his original form. He eventually freed the devil under the condition that he would not bother Jack for 1 year, and that should Jack die, he would not claim his soul. The next year, Jack again tricked the devil into climbing into a tree to pick a piece of fruit. While he was up in the tree, Jack carved a sign of a cross on the tree bark so the devil could not come down until the devil promised Jack not to bother him for 10 more years. And this basically continues on year after year. And soon after Jack died, as the legend goes, God would not allow such an unsavory figure into heaven. The devil, upset by the trick Jack had played on him and keeping his word not to claim his soul, would not allow Jack into hell. He sent Jack off into the dark night with only a burning coal to light his way. Jack put the coal into a carved-out turnip and has been roaming the earth ever since. The Irish began to refer to this ghostly figure as Jack of the Lantern, and then simply Jack-o'-lantern. So there is a little kernel of truth that there is, a story tied to the devil, but it has nothing to do with drawing the devil in. It's a story of a guy that got one over on the devil multiple times and then paid the price for it.
Mm-hmm. I used to hear when I was a kid that the face on the pumpkin was supposed to scare the spirits away.
There are beliefs in that too. It goes back to the wearing scary costumes to essentially keep spirits from wanting to take over your body when the veil between this life and the afterlife was thinnest. And that's, again, where costuming started as a tradition. And it was really gruesome and gory at the first bit, because animals that they would have, sacrificed for rituals their skins and pieces were the original costumes. And then eventually started making costumes. But so it does tie into that. A lot of these tie in and interweave with each other in different ways, because you're looking at a grand tradition from multiple different cultures across a huge span of time, where, you know, you can't really pinpoint any one thing and say, oh, that's evil, that's evil, that's evil. Because it's just different. Just because it's different from your cultural beliefs doesn't make it evil. You know, like my grandmother was Irish, and so I very much followed, when I was a pagan, I followed the Celtic and Irish pantheons. Like, that was my main go-to. Like, my favorite goddess was the Morrigan. She is a badass. Essentially, she's one of the Trinity goddesses of the harvest and death and fertility. And she had a crush on Cuchulainn, which is essentially Irish Hercules. Like, demigod, like, does like great feats. Irish Hercules. And so she had a crush on him, and, you know, pursued him, and he rebuffed her. It didn't end well for him. She essentially made it so that first his best friend died right in front of him, and then his horse, and then him. And it wasn't until he was about to draw his last breath that he's like, oh shit, you were the Morgan. Fuck. I mean, so basically, he came to the realization right before he died that he had spurned the advances of the Morrigan, and yeah, you don't do that.
No, you don't.
And Lone Wanderer, please feel free to jump in at any time. You know, this is your this is your show too. Okay, let's go to point number 3.
I tried jumping in, but Kitty's got everything before I.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine. You say it better than I do.
And if we're not getting anything, why not?
I think everyone's got tech gremlins today.
I think so.
I was supposed to be on the laptop. I got my phone.
Nope.
I swear I'm not hexing this to stop the pain. I swear. It's not me.
I'll fix it.
One more thing. Let's see.
Let's see. Should we pray to Odin? We got Thor.
I mean, we are pursuing knowledge, so Odin would probably be better.
Yep.
When you put the pumpkin at your door on Halloween, you are giving the devil an entryway into your house and family. Reason number 3. Open doors through celebrating Halloween. The devil loves it when believers celebrate Halloween and get dressed up. No matter how much you read the Bible, he loves Christians who celebrate Halloween because it brings a 4 to 5 generational curse to your family. He knows that the next generation will celebrate Halloween as a ripple effect and attach the curse to other family members. Reason number 4.
Okay, we're getting a bit of a issue with syncing.
Flag. Yeah.
Because
we could hear it at least.
Yeah, at least we could hear it. I'd rather be able to hear it than see it. So at least we got the audio, even if we didn't get the video on that one. Yeah. Okay.
Curses aren't real.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, again, it's a whole other tradition. Just because it's different doesn't make it evil. They're trying to shoehorn Satan into somewhere Satan didn't really appear at all.
No.
I mean, again, and the Stingy Jack thing, that was after Christianity was brought to Ireland. That story didn't really, there was no Satan before the Christians came. And then you have a merging of cultures and beliefs, and that's where the jack-o'-lantern thing comes from. But I will let, I don't want to be the only one talking. So.
No, that's fine. I'm just like, that my thing is just like, curses aren't real, and Satan, it doesn't have to be in everything. Like, I'm just waiting for the part where they say, Halloween will cause an abortion, I'm waiting for that. They've got to throw abortion in there as well. because you got to hit the trifecta,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But at the start of it with that Bible passage, it was a complete contradiction. It's like shy away from it, but fight it. It's like what? But Granny, maybe you can hit that one.
Which one?
At the beginning of the film, I think it's Ephesians 11 something.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
want to address this question here from Mark Caesar first, because I think it's a good
Okay.
one. Do many Christians celebrate Halloween? And if so, how do they justify that to themselves and their pastors? And the answer is, my experience is it's about, I would say, of the Christian churches I've been to, and I've been to quite a few just because my husband was active duty military, we moved a lot. I would say about 2/3 of the Christians that I encountered did celebrate, and about 1/3 did not. And most of those that did not were people who lived in the Bible Belt. People who live in other regions of the country don't put as much stock into that. But the way that they justify it is most of them call it a harvest celebration rather than
Or
a
the light
Halloween
party.
celebration. What?
Yeah, the light party. That's what they call
Mhm.
it. Yeah, the light party.
Yeah, yeah. And they're actually, I watched this whole film before we did this, and they are going to get to that, and they condemn that practice as well. We'll get to that. Oh goodness, I'm way behind on the comments. I'll try to catch up with what everybody's been saying while we play the next clip. And we've got tech gremlins again. I think the problem is, for some reason, my computer is
Harvest
there we go.
is not a substitution for Halloween. Churches celebrate Halloween or harvest. You bring a curse to the church and upon the children of the church when you substitute this holiday. Why create a substitution for this demonic holiday? If you celebrate Harvest Festival, you celebrate Halloween. We feel like we must entertain people to keep them in the church or to have them come back, but we don't. We must bring the cross, and God will do the rest.
Okay.
Kitty's face. Oh my god.
Right. We can't have fun. No. We just need to use scaremongering and fear-mongering tactics. I mean, that's my biggest issue with the church. And it goes back to the very beginning. It is a business. And what better business model than to convince somebody that they have something wrong with them, sin, and that they have an immortal soul, that if they don't do what you say and give you money, that soul will suffer forever. And they use a carrot and stick thing of your situation of eating rock soup. Yeah, that sucks. But if you do everything we say and give us money, you'll have an eternity of bliss and paradise. And if you don't, then you'll have an eternity of suffering that's going to be worse than what you have right now. So, I mean, like that's the saddest thing about Christianity to me, is the fact that it focuses so much on an afterlife rather than improving the material conditions of people in this life. And
Well, of course.
I think what summed it up most for me, and like what really got me like more of an anti-theist, like if someone has a religious belief, I don't want to take that from them. I look forward to the day that there's no more religion, but it's not going to happen in my lifetime. But I had a friend that was in Africa digging wells to bring clean drinking water to, incredibly impoverished people that were really suffering. And there were missionaries there handing out Bible tracts and everything like that, and trying to convert people. And my friend basically went to them and said, hey, you could put the Bibles down and actually help us give them clean water, and that would do way more good than handing those out. And they're like, well, we don't care what happens to their physical bodies as long as their souls are saved.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you see that over and over again. And like, it's not as blatant in this part of the clip, but it's still there. We're not here to have fun. We're just going to browbeat them with the cross and the threats of eternal damnation if they don't do what we say. and more importantly, give us money.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I can sympathize with their position, having believed it for so long, in that if you really honestly believe that there is an eternal state of bliss, if you are willing to undergo a little bit of inconvenience and suffering on this planet first, then yeah, the eternal state is more important than what's going on currently. And it is more important that you have this eternal life than that you have this temporary one that's only going to last a very short time. On the other hand, obviously from a skeptic standpoint, you have no evidence whatsoever that this eternal life even exists. And so I can see both sides of the coin. I understand their perspective, but you've got to convince them first that unless there really is an eternal life, they're missing the only life they've got.
And
Well, my
that's
question. Go ahead.
sorry, go ahead.
My question for them is, if you care so much about the afterlife, why are you worried about if I go have an abortion or if I have sex with a woman? I mean, what's it got to do with it? If you're not worried about what I'm doing in this life.
Well,
Yeah.
their concern there is that you're damaging any chance that you will have of having an eternal life, because you're committing sin and you're separating yourself from God, and so you're not going to have an eternal life.
Yeah, and then we go into all the different denominations, because there's the one that says everyone gets to go to heaven. You just have to say sorry,
Mhm. Mhm.
and walk through the pearly gates,
Yep. And the Apostle David says it's all about money.
I mean,
Of course it is.
ultimately, yeah, money and power over the people. I mean, for the longest time, the people were illiterate. They couldn't even read the Bible themselves. So it was whatever their priest, pastor, what have you, religious leader told them was there. And they had no way to fact check it. And it was a great form of population control, like controlling the populace because you want them stupid and listening to you, trying to get all the answers from you. And like the focus on the afterlife thing, that's what makes it more of a death cult, and I know a lot of people don't like hearing that, but Christianity, especially when they focus so much on the afterlife, is a death cult. Catholicism too, like Catholicism partakes in necromancy essentially with the transubstantiation. They
Mhm.
won't ever call it that,
Mhm.
but it's death magic, like
Mhm.
sorry.
Mhm.
So
Well, the whole dying on the cross thing is death magic too.
Jesus was a lich.
Yep. Okay, and I want to address Leanne's question. Where is this film being shown? Not in theaters, right? You are correct. It is not in theaters. Lone Wanderer found this on YouTube and downloaded it, and we're just showing it here because it was one of the worst things that we found about Halloween out there.
I mean, there's just so much fear mongering and misinformation. Like, that's what bothers me the most. You're scaring people. You're using it as a tool to scare people, and feed into that whole hell mythos, which is traumatizing as hell to kids. And, that bothers me more than anything, is the traumatizing of children with, the concept of hell, which is just barbaric.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to get to all of these comments real quickly. Mark Caesar says, "Who wants to go to heaven? I spent my life steering clear of religious folks. I don't want to spend my death doing the same thing. Give me the rugs and prostitutes, please."
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
And then there's the whole thought of, well, would God send somebody to hell that had never heard the good word, so to speak? And if you believe no, then why the hell are you out proselytizing to them and trying to convert them? If they never heard it, they got a free pass into heaven. But now that you've told them, they make a choice. No, that's not for me. I'm going to stick with what my cultural beliefs are. Well, now you've just damned them. Like, that's why I don't understand missionary work if you believe that someone who doesn't know is not penalized for it.
Mark Caesar's misspelling there, and it said that was supposed to be drugs, not rugs, which reminds me of something absolutely hilarious that if we have 5 minutes at the end of the show, I'll bring up. Otherwise, I'll save it for another time because it really is off topic. All right, let's
Mhm.
get to reason number 5.
Reason number 5. The delusions behind costumes. This is one of the biggest delusions to the church. Devil changed Adam and Eve's identity when they were in the garden. When Christians put on a costume of something they're not, they open themselves up to a demonic attack. Your identity has changed. The devil is the biggest identity theft. He tried to make Jesus question his own identity when he tempted him. In Matthew chapter 4, it says, "If you're really the Son of God." Many Christians walk around without an identity to what God has called them to be. They don't know their purpose, but they sure do know how to celebrate Halloween. Reason number 6.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Exactly what I was thinking. Like you just like brain melded.
I have nothing. I know, me too. I have nothing to say then. Oh my god.
They turned it on its head. Absolutely. Like the original traditions of costuming were to prevent spirits from taking you over, not invite them. Like it's just blatant lies.
Yeah, and we still carry that tradition too when we get married. If you have the traditional wedding where all the bridesmaids have similar dresses to the bride, it's supposed to trick the spirits so they don't know who to curse. That's why you all dress alike.
I didn't know that.
Or
Yeah.
lullabies. Lullabies go back to the story of Lilith, and after she was cast from the Garden of Eden because she wouldn't submit to Adam, she was cursed. She is known as the mother of monsters, and she would steal babies from their cribs. So you would sing a lullaby to keep Lilith from taking your baby in the night.
Yeah, and it's like that awful prayer they sing to song. They say when you go to sleep, was it I pray the Lord my soul to take? You know.
Yeah, which is so freaking morbid for a kid.
Oh
to
yeah.
be saying,
Oh,
now I
yeah.
lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take. And there's more. It gets worse
I know.
as it goes on.
Ox has a really good point here. Nuns wear costumes.
Also, first of all, like there's no actual evidence that Satan was the serpent in the Garden of Eden. In fact, it's entirely possible that it was one of the elder gods that like predated Yahweh. Like if you like actually look at the text like around the time. But regardless of that, their identities didn't change. All they did was take the rose-tinted glasses off and they became self-aware and they got knowledge. And it shows the war on knowledge that the church has from day one. And if God created Adam and Eve, an all-knowing God created it, knowing that they would do that, eat from that tree and fall ahead of time, why put the tree there in the first place unless you were setting them up to fail because you're a masochistic or sadistic bastard, you know? Like, honestly, it makes no... Like, if I had foresight that my child was going to put a fork in a light socket, I am either going to disconnect the electricity or put little fucking plugs in there to stop them from doing it. I'm not going to just be like, well, you made your choice. Now you can electrocute yourself. Whatever. No. Like any loving parent would not allow their child to suffer.
No, absolutely not. Yeah.
Okay. We had a really good comment here that I had up a minute ago that I do want to go ahead and read from CD and Oliman. The look on Kitty's face was worth watching that BS video.
Thank you. I mean, I do have a very expressive face, and the way I do my makeup definitely accentuates it.
Okay. Adam found the G spot. Everything went downhill from there.
Right. Heaven forbid fucking women enjoy sex.
I know, right?
The horror.
Okay, on to reason number, is it 5 or 6? I forget which.
I think we're
going
six
to
now.
6.
Okay.
Let the torture continue.
Welcome to intermission.
Do, 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 do.
There we go.
Do, do,
Maybe.
do, 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 do.
Celebrate Halloween.
There we go.
Reason number 6. It's the opposite of Christ. Halloween is the opposite of Resurrection Sunday. The importance we have when we celebrate Good Friday and Resurrection Sunday is the same type of importance to devil worshippers when they celebrate Halloween. Reason number 7. November 1st is not.
Okay.
Like, what was that even about? Like, that wasn't even a. That was just a dog whistle.
Yeah.
Honestly, it really was. And like the only reason why it's not the same is because they decided to put the death of Jesus happening in the spring instead of in the fall. And I mean, just like we have other myths about fall and death and rebirth. I mean, there's Persephone and Hades in Greek mythology, like explaining the seasons. Like a lot of different cultures have myths and legends surrounding the fact that in the fall you have the harvest, and then it gets you through the lean times of the winter until spring when there's light and warmth and new growth. And the early Christians could just as easily have put, the death and resurrection around Samhain as they did put it around Ostara. In fact, it would have made more sense to put it around Samhain as opposed to putting it around Ostara. But, hey. I don't know. Like, that was just a fucking word salad of nonsense.
They're saying Halloween represents death and glorifies that instead of the resurrection. Yep. That's their problem. Okay, let's move on to the next reason. Maybe. I'm finding if I back this just a bit, it's working better.
Halloween. Reason number 7. November 1st is not about the saints. The day after Halloween is Saint Day, November 1st. They bring food offerings to dead relatives, but it is truly demonic. Reason number 8.
I mean, I already covered this when I talked about, the history of Samhain and All Saints Day. But again, it has nothing to do with demons. Like, even going back to the early pagan traditions, it wasn't about demons or Satan because they had no concept of Satan. Satan didn't exist to them. Like, some of these religions predate Christianity.
Exactly.
And Purple Rhymes with Orange says it would have been a far better fit if they said that Jesus was born in the spring, like the Bible says, and then died at Yule to be reborn in time for the new year.
Exactly.
Although, is that when they celebrated the new year? Yeah, their calendar was different. I don't know when their new year came. I don't know.
Wait, which religion or whatever is he talking? Is he talking about pagans? Or
No,
is
he's
he
talking
about
about
like early
Christianity.
Christian?
He's saying that it would have been better for Christians to have had Jesus die at Yule and have him reborn at New Year. Although I'm not sure that the Christian, I'm not sure if New Year was considered at that time of year before the Gregorian calendar.
No, I believe Samhain was kind of the new year.
Yeah.
It was like the end of the previous year after the harvest, and then, the beginning of the new year after that.
And
Yeah,
that
and I
being
think the
said,
Roman calendar was like July, Julius, the start of it, but I think.
All Saints Day was created by Christians, so how can it be anti-Christian?
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, then we're getting to the argument about Catholics not being Christians.
Yeah, well.
And Leanne points out, so you can light candles for the dead, just don't give them food.
Dude, when I died, fuck candles. Like, leave an offering of fucking pan dulce. Like, I mean, sweetbread. Like, I would much rather mow down on some sweetbread, like Dia de los Muertos. Like, marigolds are pretty, and they smell lovely. And, they're big in Dia de los Muertos. Like, skeletons and spooky shit like that, awesome. So, yeah, leave me an offering of Mexican sweetbread and some marigolds. I'd much prefer that to a boring ass candle that probably doesn't even have any smell.
I'll leave you a good New York strip and some cigarettes.
True. Like, honestly, I can get behind that.
Now, actually, the Catholics do give offerings for the dead in a way.
Yes, they do. They do. They make lentil cake on All Souls Day.
Okay, I wasn't thinking of that, but I also know that priests will take communion for the dead.
Yes,
And
they will.
they can reduce someone's time in purgatory by taking communion for the dead. I was reading this one book by someone who was a former priest, and he told about how he and his friend used to get drunk every Friday night because they would go down to the wine cellar and drink communion for all of the dead people that they could think of until they got drunk.
I mean, work smarter, not harder. Like, if you're a priest, there's not much else you can do. Fuck it. Do you, boo?
So they're already giving drink offerings to the dead.
See, I just line up all the bottles. I'll be like, this is for every dead person in the world, and start drinking. We go. Done.
There you go.
Just bring yourself into an early grave. And then go meet with them and party in the afterlife. Which, that's another thing. The pagan afterlife, like, there were many different versions of it. Like, Wiccans have the Summerland, which it's basically where all souls go. Like, it's not about a good or bad thing, although, like, really bad ones might actually, not be allowed in, and then that would be like where your negative ghosts and like demons would come from. So, like, rather than like Christian tradition where Hitler, right before he capped himself and unalived himself, he could have said, I'm really sorry for the atrocities I committed, and then chill in heaven. Whereas, in my previous belief, he would not. Sure, he might make life miserable for like a family by haunting a house, but other than that, you don't have to worry about eternal paradise for him. And it wasn't really paradise. It was just like a realm beyond. And it was just much more peaceful because there wasn't the suffering you have here, but it wasn't said to be like perfection and eternal bliss either. I mean, you could think of it as like stepping into like the world of fairies, like where it's nature and things are, just calm, and any of the suffering you had in life you don't have anymore, and you basically waited there to be reincarnated to, keep going on your life's wheel, like gaining experiences and growing as a soul. Like, it was much more focused on, the soul and your own personal growth. Like, the mantra of Wicca is do what ye will, harm none. So you are free to do whatever you want as long as you aren't hurting anybody. And it was about like empowering yourself and growing as a person and, growing spiritually as well.
Okay, we have a comment here that I wanted to bring up. And my computer is being slow on me again. There we go. In Wicca, Halloween is the new year.
In Wicca, Samhain is the new year. I touched on that a little bit a minute ago, but it was the end of the year. It's the time that is celebrated right after, the final harvest, essentially, of the year. And then, it's when they believe that the veil was thinner, so they'd leave offerings to their families. And the next celebration after that would be Yule. And that was, in winter. It's like the middle of winter, and you are spending time with family and really, trying to celebrate to kind of get you over that hump. Because now it's like, hey, this is the winter solstice. That's what Yule is. And so now we're halfway through. Like, we're we've like crested that hill. It's going to be smoother sailing here on out, and we're over that worst part, and now things will start to get better. We see spring, the light at the end of the tunnel, the new growth, more food.
Didn't they also light the candles because it was sort of like the last symbol before going into the darkness?
Yes. Because the winter solstice is the longest night of the year. So there was a lot of symbolism there with, night and darkness and cold. And it was another reason why they celebrated with, celebrations of life, giving gifts, decorating a tree, having a feast. These are things that you wouldn't necessarily associate with the darkest night of the year. But it's a way of combating that, essentially, like an Irish wake, instead of being all morose and depressed, you're celebrating life rather than focusing on the fact that, hey, we're in the dead middle of winter. We still have to make sure our rations make it until the spring. but we are going to do this, for us, for our people, strengthen those bonds, and see each other through the rest of the way.
Yeah.
And Purple was commenting on, it took me a while to find this one, but the reason the new year is 10 days after Yule is it was a correction to the calendars to even out between 13 lunar months and the 365-day solar year. So
I didn't know
evidently,
that.
I did know that the Julian calendar was made for the purpose of correcting the calendar to adjust for leap year, or for leap year, and to get to the 365-day calendar. But I did not know that it corresponded that closely to what was used before that.
Yeah, that was new information to me too.
Yeah.
Thank you. I love learning.
Learn something new.
And Nerdy Rodent says, eat too much and you get a large Yule log.
Oh, nerdy.
Okay. It makes sense. The Wiccans and Pagans place the wheel of the year that way. In Wicca, it begins with intention. So the beginning of the year would be a dark time of introspection.
Yeah.
Very well said.
And Purple says pine trees were hung with bits of food as offerings to the spirits.
They'd also make little fairy villages, little itty bitty tiny houses for the fairies to live in, so that they wouldn't move into your house. Because if you leave a space for, in the mythology, if you leave any house uninhabited, then fairies will move into it. So the best way to avoid that is to basically make houses for the fairies. Because fairies are not nice. Yeah. The fae are not friendly.
No, they're not. And I was just reading Mark Caesar's comment, and I'm so embarrassed because I never took my tree down. It's been up all year. But I changed it a little bit around the seasons, and I was just like, you know what? After last year, I really need it. So every time I get upset, I just go turn the lights on. I'm like, yay, commercial Christmas.
I try to get a real tree every year. That goes to a tradition from my family. Christmas was always the biggest holiday for my mom because, giving gifts to her kids, making it special. But also when I was 7, we lost my grandmother on the day after Christmas. She was diagnosed with an inoperable brain tumor around Thanksgiving and then passed away a week after my 7th birthday. So my mom really threw herself into Christmas and making it special. And so that is one thing. My mom and I haven't always agreed on everything, but she did make sure that we had great Christmases, even in lean times. And so we would always get our Christmas trees the day after Thanksgiving. We'd go as a family, pick one out, and then we'd let it hang up just fresh and green for a day or two, and then do the lights and ornaments. And it was a big family affair. And that's a tradition that I try to take with me because, sure, it was her Christmas tradition, but I mean, it's no different really than a Yule tradition. So,
I just hate cleaning up all that pine nettle,
Oh, honestly, I love the smell, so it doesn't really bother me. Sometimes I'll even sweep them up with a little dustpan and set them in an old pillowcase or something and tuck it behind the couch, so you get that pine smell.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so what Autobot said is actually not too far off. In fairy lore, you essentially have 2 courts. You have the Seelie court and the Unseelie court. And the Seelie court are the good fairies. So if a human were to wander into the woods and the Seelie were there, they might make them all confused, and then they just wander out of the woods scared, or they might just scare them off. Sometimes they'll kill them, but usually they'll just brain assault them and just mess them up a bit and scare them out of the forest. Whereas the Unseelie would just straight up murder them, maybe torture them beforehand too. The Unseelie were the dark fae, and they were more associated with fall and winter, the darker months. And then you had the Seelie, which were spring and summer. Both of them you would not want to run into, but if you were gonna run into one of the she, you'd rather it be from the Seelie court. Just saying.
Okay. All right, let's get to reason number 8.
Oh, this is gonna hurt.
Urinate.
Reason number 8. it's betrayal to God. It says in 1 Corinthians 10:21, you cannot drink the cup of the Lord and the cup of demons too. You cannot have a part in both the Lord's table and the table of demons. How can you call yourself blessed and saved while celebrating Halloween? For example, it's like saying a married couple says they love each other, but then they go off and commit adultery. Reason number 9. Curses.
Okay, so first off, like, if both of the partners are okay with it, go get your freak on. Enjoy.
It's not
Like, there's
adultery
nothing
anymore.
wrong with, those types of arrangements. Second off, what happened to, like, eternal love and forgiveness? Like, I'm sorry, like, you're making it sound like you can't still seek forgiveness from God, and that takes away the fact that none of this has anything to do with demons.
Exactly. That was just another dog whistle.
I find it hilarious how much Christians fear demons. Even when I was a believer, I found it funny. The more charismatic denominations, like the Assemblies of God, the Pentecostals,
Yeah.
those people are finding demons everywhere, and they're constantly binding demons and casting
Smack you in the
demons
face
out.
with a Bible.
Yeah.
Like, that's gonna do anything other than
Yeah.
give you a fucking knot on your forehead.
It's like my grandma always said, she was really, really religious, and she was like, it's the live ones you have to worry about. The live ones. You know? Don't listen to all that crap about demons. You know?
I mean, there's some that believe that video games are demonic. Pokemon are demons, apparently.
I am old enough to remember the Satanic Panic. My sorry, a little off topic, but my mother went to a baby shower, and she bought a Smurf doll, and they kicked her out of that baby shower.
Oh, really?
So I got a Smurf doll. And she's like, that's demonic, get it out of my house now. And like, she was pulling out her Bible and flicking through it, and she's, having a mental over it.
I remember the
Absolute breakdown.
demonization. I remember the demonization of Dungeons and Dragons. It's actually a really fun game, and like, you don't have to have like religion in it at all. But you can. I mean, hell, I know people that run Christian D&D campaigns where like you got clerics that are to Yahweh. Boring, but hey, do you?
Yeah.
But like, there was one case, and D&D got the bad rap for it, but it was actually Vampire the Masquerade of that guy that he killed that girl's parents. Like, they were on their way to Louisiana because they had their own little vampire coven. Like, they blamed Dungeons and Dragons for that, and it's like, dude, he was playing a completely different game. Like, and I don't know. Like, I don't see the point in demonizing, everything. It's like, take responsibility for your own actions. It wasn't demons that made you cheat on your wife. It was the fact that you're probably miserable, married to someone that you didn't really want to marry, or you got married too young to someone who's not compatible, or you find out that you're not sexually compatible because you didn't have sex before marriage. So now you go to have sex with them and it's a chore, it's boring, you don't like it, you're not attracted at all. So you go seek it elsewhere because you deserve to be happy. But if you're going to do that, you should have that conversation with your spouse and get consent. It's a whole other thing. But I mean, when it comes down to it, like, a lot of Christians end up getting divorced partially because of sexual incompatibility. Because again, if you wait until marriage, you don't know how you're going to be with that person in bed, and you're supposed to spend the rest of your life with them. And that's just, it's unfair to force that on anyone if, you don't actually have those feelings, and you won't know until you try.
Exactly. And
then they encourage getting married so young.
I know. Where is this vampire coven in Louisiana? Because I need a new hobby.
Right? Now, this was back in like the 90s. One, he was a really disturbed kid. Like, and he was really traumatized, like, essayed as a child, like, just, it's really sad. And he got really involved in Vampire the Masquerade, and he and his friends formed their own little vampire coven. Like, they would drink each other's blood and everything like that. And it's like, whatever, they all consented to it. It was their own thing. I'm not going to judge. But then the one girl had said to him that, her parents were abusing her, and that really triggered him. So he initiated her into the vampire coven, and then ended up killing her parents and stealing their car. Like, originally they were just going to steal the car and
Mhm.
drive to Louisiana for their little meetup at like a freaking game store or something. But then like things like went bad, and like I feel bad for everybody involved there, because like the kid needed professional help and didn't get it. And I believe he was executed in the early 2000s, I think, for
geez.
the double murder. And it's just sad because like with earlier intervention, he likely would have never actually harmed anyone. Like it's not like he wasn't a serial killer or anything like that, where it's like I have no empathy for those people. Like they hurt so many, but like this was a disturbed kid that needed help and didn't get it, and it makes me sad for him.
Mhm. It is.
Okay, let's get to reason number 9.
9.
Curses become active when Halloween begins. Curses start when they celebrate Halloween. The whole picture of Halloween is to bow down to the devil. The biggest witchcraft is done on Halloween. Coffins, bones, etc. Halloween is an abomination to God. When you create harvest or a Halloween party, carving pumpkins, putting up spiderwebs on windows, buying goblins, or any other demonic-related object, you must repent. Cut off all those ties and
Well, we'll go ahead and
close
stop.
off those spiritual doors.
and
Break
now
the
it's going
curses
again.
off your family and the next 3 to 4 generations in your family line in Jesus' name.
There we go.
It's just fear mongering, straight up.
Yeah.
Just fear mongering.
Okay, we have a super chat from Ricardo. He says, I have to go. I have to work in a few hours. Thanks, Godless Granley, for sharing your work. And Kitty and Lone Wanderer, it's always a pleasure. See you later. Thank you so much, Ricardo. I appreciate that so much.
Thank you.
See you later. And sweet dreams.
Are made of these.
Actually, he says he's going to work in a couple hours. I wonder if he's going to bed first or if he works third shift.
I don't know. I mean, if I had to go to bed to work in a few hours, I would try to get a cat nap in before.
Yeah,
I think he works
heading
third.
out.
I think he works third.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Purple says marriage worked so much better before people decided that they should love the person that they were bound to.
Well, yeah, because it was transactional, about making alliances between
Mhm.
families or bettering your circumstances. Like the best thing a girl could do was marry up and better her family circumstances.
Yep.
Other than that, honestly, like, yeah, marriage was incredibly transactional way back when.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I once got into a debate with someone over the bride price, because you're really not selling them. You're just giving money to the groom's family to make sure that she's provided for. But they're like, but isn't that like prostitution or selling? I'm like, how are they selling when they're giving her away and money?
Well, it depends
not
on what
selling
country
anything.
you're in.
Yes. Yeah.
I have a distant relative that married someone from India, and she had to raise a bride price to pay to his parents so that she could marry him. And she did a fundraiser project to raise her bride price. And her family didn't get that. They had to give that to his parents.
No,
Yeah, no,
that's the
basically,
thing about it.
Here, I'm
It's supposed to
bribing
take
you.
care
It's more
of her.
bribery.
Yeah.
I'm bribing
Right,
you
yeah.
to take this woman off my hands.
Yeah, but it's also supposed to be for her to make sure that she has some money. Yeah, she's taken care of. But it never works out that way,
Most definitely not.
Okay, let's go to the next reason.
Also, curses aren't real. Again.
Yes, curses aren't real.
Get killed, shot, and go missing on Halloween. Don't play with
Let me back this up.
set up by the devil. Halloween. Cut off all those ties and close off those spiritual doors. Break the curses off your family and the next 3 to 4 generations in your family line in Jesus' name. Reason number 10. Halloween is a trap set up by the devil. Halloween is a poison to believers and non-believers alike. Many people get killed, shot, and go missing on Halloween. Don't play with fire. If you play with fire, you'll burn your whole house down. The devil has a mastermind strategy on how to deceive people. Remember, he is the father of lies. The devil kills, steals, and destroys through these types of holidays and culturally encouraged traditions. It's a trap set up. The enemy's purpose is to keep you away from the cross. 1 Corinthians 10:20 says, "Rather that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to demons and not to God. And I do not want you to have fellowship with demons." The lies and the deception may appear harmless, good, or cool. But it says in 2 Corinthians 11:14, "And no wonder, for Satan himself masquerades as an angel of light." These deceptions are the devil's way to send you to a place called hell. God has predestined us to spend eternity with him in heaven. It's time to repent. Time to make right with God. Life is not a game. When I stand before God in heaven on Judgment Day, your blood is off my hands because I told you what Halloween is all about. If you want to celebrate it, it's up to you. Whoever celebrates Halloween does not understand the curse that they are under. It's time to repent, break off those curses in the name of Jesus, and turn to the cross. You can check out John Ramirez's books called Out of the Devil's Cauldron, Unmasking the Devil, and his newly released book, Armed and Dangerous. Order now on Amazon.com and Barnes.
All right, we don't need all the commercials.
Like, of course, they're going to try to make some money.
Yeah.
But
Count
okay,
Bathroy was just asking me whether or not the narrator was a virgin.
I honestly don't know. But when that just broke my brain a little bit.
Yeah,
People
because
go
you can only
missing.
get shot and stabbed and killed on Halloween. That's the only day.
People go missing, get shot, stabbed, killed, all that every day of the year.
Right. And
It's not just
notice-
Halloween.
And she noticed that she didn't say that it happens more on Halloween. She just said that it happens on Halloween.
It's like
Yeah,
throw a
I
dart in
know.
a calendar. You'll find people that will go
Exactly.
missing or get shot or something. Like that. And it ties into the panic that people have about like Halloween candy and like that it's going to be tainted or like razor blades in the candy or poison or something. Here's the
It
thing.
was you that brought it up. You know what you're going to say, that guy.
It never happened. There's only one time that there was actually poisoned or tainted Halloween candy, and it was a father trying to cash in on a life insurance policy on his own kid with the pixie sticks that he laced with arsenic. Like, other than that, it's never happened. But there's been this huge fear-mongering like campaign. The only reason I check my son's candy is, two reasons. In the off chance that somebody was a little too high and tossed an edible in there. It's not likely because that shit's expensive, but you never know. And to make sure that it's all unopened because I don't want him to eat something that might, have gone bad. And it has nothing to do with me worrying about him being poisoned by people.
No.
It's just about food safety. Like you don't want to eat something that's
you're
not
going through to get the
packaged.
candy you want, right?
I mean, I will snag the Butterfingers. Like that's one of my all-time favorites. Butterfingers are the shit.
Yeah.
But no, so I mean, it even without saying it, it's still tying into the fear that people have of Halloween and people being injured, or the superstition and urban legend essentially of the dangerous Halloween candy. And it's so stupid. It's so stupid. Like this whole video, I've lost 10 IQ points, Gigi, from sitting to watch this.
Oh, sorry. I apologize for that.
I love you.
Well,
though.
really, it's my Cooper.
Although I learned something in the process, I figured out what the tech issue was. And I figured it out because earlier today when I was doing some editing, I had as my green screen background a video that I was playing at 20 times speed because I was trying to show someone painting a picture really fast. And when I had that stacked on top of myself at normal speed, it drove my editing software nuts trying to sync that. But as soon as I rendered it, it was fine and it synced perfectly. And as that was playing, I suddenly noticed that the banner and the video weren't syncing correctly. And as soon as I pulled the banner off the screen, then the video had no problem playing anymore. So word to everyone out there, if you're streaming with a banner streaming and you're trying to play a video, take the banner off because it doesn't sync right.
That's good to know.
Yeah, that's good. I'll remember that. I'm sorry for killing your brain cells.
It's all right. Someone in the chat said, eat edibles to restore IQ. Sounds like a good idea. Like, I mean, I might have to try that. Can't hurt. I mean,
that sounds like a great idea. Unfortunately, edibles are not legal where I live.
Technically not legal here. Like, you have to get a medical card to do it, which I actually qualify for one. However, my pain management doctor isn't on the MJ for medicinal use train. Like, he doesn't believe in it, so it's kind of a bummer for me because it would be great to help, like, when I get like huge pain spikes and to lessen the amount of medication I have to take. But until it's legalized fully everywhere, I don't think that his mind will be changed. So
I have some edibles, but it's not that type of edible. It's pickles that have been soaking in moonshine.
Ooh.
Yeah, we went to Tennessee last week and we went to Old Smoky. And I was like, I love edibles. I was like, cherries or pickles. I'm like, no, pickles.
Tennessee is gorgeous. We used to vacation there when I was a kid. We'd go up for a week and get like a cabin. We'd stay in like the Valley Forge or Gatlinburg area. The mountains, and it's so pretty, like a horseback riding or whitewater rafting. Like,
gorgeous.
It was just gorgeous.
I have a good story for you about edibles.
Ooh.
So we went to a memorial for my uncle who died a year ago, and we flew up to New York, and the memorial was in Greenwich, Connecticut. And then we went down to the day after the memorial. My husband and I took the train down to the city and spent the day in the city before we flew back the next day. And there were vending trucks everywhere selling edibles. And I have never tried marijuana. Now, they had other things besides edibles, but I've never smoked anything either. And so I really didn't want to. To me, the idea of an edible just seems so much easier. So I bought, the lowest, smallest bag they had of edibles, and I took them back to the hotel and decided I wanted to try this. But I had no clue what I was doing. I've never done this before.
I know where this is going.
So I ate one and nothing happened. And then I started thinking about it and I realized I'm flying home tomorrow and I can't have these in my suitcase on the airplane. So, hey, I'm not feeling anything. I might as well eat them all. So I did.
I'm so sorry. Did you at least had somebody there with you to make sure you were safe, because you were probably blitzed out of your goddamn mind?
I felt like a bowl of Jell-O. I felt like
warm and tingly, floaty, like bowl of Jell-O. Just it's a very, very nice feeling.
I've never tried weed at all, any kind of form of it. So,
I mean, honestly, like I have only ever done two, aside from like nicotine and caffeine, which like those are just ubiquitous, like they're everywhere. So I don't count those. The only two illicit substances I've ever used are marijuana, and then one time in high school I tried ecstasy. And that was like basically the epitome of rainbows, kittens, sunshine, and a warm, fluffy blanket. It was not bad. It's not something I would do all the time because you do feel really floaty and just like a little out of it. But I mean, it was fun. I was with people that, like I had safe people that were with me, which is always, if you're going to try anything, make sure you have somebody there to make sure that you're okay, because there are times that you can have, a bad experience, and having someone there to keep you calm, keep you safe, make sure you stay hydrated, is very, very important if you're going to do any type of experimenting with anything. But yeah, no, you definitely would have felt it. It's a good thing you got the lowest dose.
How many edibles did you eat?
There were 5 in the package,
Oh,
and they were 25 milligrams.
your name forevermore is Marshmallow now. It's no longer Granny, it's Marshmallow.
I mean,
How long did it take to calm down?
I'd say a couple hours, probably.
Yeah, it only took a couple hours. I took them right before I went to bed.
Oh, okay.
So I really didn't notice much of anything. I went to sleep, and when I woke up, I could definitely feel that I felt very strange, but I went back to sleep. And, I felt a couple times when it would hit me the following day or even the day after that, but, nothing major.
Oh,
It was
gosh.
just like, oh, I feel a little strange.
She's having an edible flashback.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for me, when I take any type of edible, I notice like I get really like, I don't want to say lightheaded. It's more like a fluffy, like light feeling, like a floaty feeling. And then, just like a warm, nice sensation through my body. Where you feel like you're being wrapped in like a heated blanket, like, but not too hot, like just like nice and snug and comfy. And it's just a very like mellow, nice, just chill out kind of feeling. Like, I absolutely love, that feeling. It's great. Like when you're stressed, when you're anxious, you know, I think it's something that everybody should try at least once. I mean, people try alcohol, and I don't really see it as any worse than alcohol. In fact, in some ways, better than alcohol, because it's not quite as impairing. But even still, I mean, as long as you're an adult and acting responsibly, like obviously don't get behind the wheel of a car when you're floating, have fun, live your life, I mean, you only have this one life. Experience everything you can as safely as you can. And there are unsafe things you can still do, but try to do them as safely as possible. Be responsible.
I'll never forget the only time I tried laughing gas. I inhaled too much and I passed out.
Yeah, nitrous, like actually that's a pretty comparable feeling, like to edibles. Like part of it is that nitrous feeling, that floaty, warm, fuzzy feeling you get when they give you nitrous at the dentist. It's comparable to, how I've felt on edibles before. And it sounds like it's pretty similar for Gigi, just like that kind of like, you're kind of just like,
yeah. Well, honestly, like when I tried it, I was just like,
my bones. My bone, when I was laying on bed, it felt like my bones were turning to jelly, and I felt like if I wanted to, I wouldn't be able to move. But then when I would try, I had no problem moving at all. But if I was still, I felt like I can't move. But then I move and go, yeah, I can. Yeah.
You just don't want to. You're just gonna veg out. Like,
did you hear that song? Do do do, looking at my back door. Did you see the elephants?
Nope. Okay, I want to answer that being said's question. Did your experience change the way you felt about people using medically or recreationally? Not really, because I've always been in favor of legalizing it. I would really like to see it legal everywhere. Part of the reason is, as an advocate for children, I see kids that can't go back to their parents because their parents used a bit of weed. And I see DHR's point of view that, if you're really dedicated to your kids and you want your kids back, then you'll follow the rules and wait until after you get your kids back before you try breaking the rules again. But on the other hand, when the rules are pointless, this is a really silly reason for us to be going through, the whole court system for a kid just because the parent took some weed.
Like, you wouldn't
And I
keep the
wonder-
kid from the parent if they had a glass of wine with dinner.
Right.
Like, I
No.
mean, so it's really no different. Like,
Mhm.
other than you can die from alcohol intoxication, you cannot die from weed intoxication. You might feel like you're dying if you have a lot of it and you don't have a good reaction to it. You might feel like that for a few hours, but you're not actually going to die. It is not possible to overdose on marijuana, whereas it is absolutely possible to overdose on alcohol.
We see, my theory on why they won't legalize it is twofold. Firstly, how are they going to tax it? And secondly, isn't like a third of the prison population in there because of drugs? So they're going to lose cheap labor.
A lot of them are nonviolent drug offenders, and it is essentially modern day slave labor. We still have slavery in this country. You can be enslaved if you are in prison.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I know. I work with some guys who were on the work release program. When they were picking cotton in the heat of Louisiana, they were picking cotton for 10 cents an hour
Mhm.
out there in the heat. And it's still old school down here. Like out in the country, they still have the cop on the horse,
Mhm.
all
Mhm.
50s, but 10 cents an hour.
Or like sending them to fight fires in California. You are sending them to risk their damn lives fighting fires, and you're not even paying them minimum wage, let alone hazard pay.
And
They're getting
so
paid like a couple
indoctrinated.
bucks an hour.
I know, and they're so indoctrinated by the fact that they're doing good for the community. They're like, it's all good. I'm so happy. I'm going out there to fight fires. Yeah.
Okay. We're almost out of time, but I want to go back to what Mark Caesar said way back at the beginning of the show about rugs and drugs. And I said if we had a couple minutes at the end of the show, I wanted to bring this up. When my second child was a toddler, she had a book that she absolutely adored. It was called Hugs. She still has the book. In fact, until she got a place to stay permanently, I held on to it for her, and I just gave it to her about 6 months ago. And I have read that book so many times. I have had that memorized for decades. And the book goes like this: hugs are almost magic. Hugs are fun to do. Other people give you hugs, and you can give hugs too. A hug can mean hello there. A hug can mean goodbye. A hug can mean I love you. A hug can mean don't cry. Grown-ups like to hug you. They like it quite a lot. At times you want to hug them back. At times you'd rather not. A kitten sometimes likes a hug, but just a very light one. Daddy always loves a hug, and it can be a tight one. Grandma likes to send a hug tucked inside a letter. If you fall and bump your knee, a hug can make it better. Sometimes when a thing goes wrong, a hug can make it right. A great big hug at bedtime will keep you warm all night. Hugs are almost magic. Hugs are fun to do. Other people give you hugs, and you can give hugs too.
That is
So you
so
can see
cute.
you can see that was why that was her favorite book.
And
But as she got to be a teenager, of course, she outgrew the childish sentiment, and so we started having fun with the book by changing the word hugs to other words that rhymed with hugs, and it became absolutely hilarious. Yeah, at first we came up with bugs, and then we came up. I forget what came up, but she is a doctor now.
Yes, I was going to say, is this the doctor?
Yes, it's the doctor. And so, of course, she came up with drugs. And that was the most hilarious way that book ever came out, was drugs are almost magic. Drugs are fun to do. Other people give you drugs, and you can give drugs too. A drug can mean hello there. A drug can mean goodbye. A drug can mean I love you. A drug can mean don't cry. The kitten sometimes liking a drug, that one didn't quite
Catnip.
work.
Catnip.
Okay.
Yeah, they are catnip. My gosh, yeah.
But
Catnip
one
is
of our
drug to
favorites
cat.
was Grandma likes to send a drug tucked inside a letter. If you fall and bump your knee, a drug can make you better.
It's not wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, and what I like about the original version of that book is it's still like, there was a line in there that shows that you have like autonomy, where you can give one back if you want. It's not like, 'cause that's one thing I hate about a lot of parents. They they force their kids to go and, hug somebody or just accept it. And I don't think that's right. I mean, granted, my son is on the autism spectrum, so you really can't do that with him or he'll melt down. He's super snuggly. He loves it, but it's got to be on his terms. And I know how fortunate I am to have a snuggle bug child who will just curl up in my lap with me. And because there are other, parents of autistic children that they just won't be touched at all. And that would break my fucking heart. Absolutely. But I like the idea that, it's normalizing the fact that even as a child, you should have some autonomy. Obviously, it's within like bumper rails. Like there are certain things that a kid shouldn't do, but a child should be able to say whether or not they give or receive, physical affection from a person. And I like that, that's, alluded to in the wording of that book. It's really nice. Actually, send me that. I might pick it up for my son because he still likes little childish books like that. So I might pick up a copy for my son. So just DM me the link, either an Amazon link or just the title.
Yeah, I'll look for it. It's just called Hugs, but I'll look for it.
Okay.
Now, I bought that for my child when she was 4, and she's 31 now. So it's possible it's not in print anymore.
Well, she's a little younger than me, but not that much. I'll be 35 this year.
I do want to answer Leanne's question, which was, I'm new to the channel. Is there any particular day or time you usually go live? Yes, every Wednesday at 7. It used to be Tuesday at 7, and I recently changed to Wednesdays. And so, yes, every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central Time.
And you threw out my whole schedule. You threw my whole schedule. I'm like, is grading on? Okay, it's Tuesday.
Sorry about that. A big part of the reason why I moved was there were just a number of people that I wanted on as guests that said they were always tied up on Tuesdays, and so I just moved to Wednesdays.
Hey, I mean, it makes Hump Day better.
Well, thank you, I appreciate that. And with that, let's start closing down. And Lone Wanderer, I'm going to give you a chance to shill out for your own channel. Tell us a little bit about what you do. And if you have any closing thoughts on Halloween, go ahead.
Sure. I have a channel. I have a couple of channels, actually. I have the Lone Wanderer's Bunker. I haven't really done a lot in a while because I'm really trying to save up for a new camera because I just feel like I'm not doing it justice on the little one I have. And I also have ASMR from the bunker. I'm trying the ASMR thing. It seems to be working out fine. And I really like it because it's more positive than some of the other stuff we're talking about. Because a lot of times we talk about, well, not that we're being negative, but there's a lot of negative things that happen, as a result of being atheists and things we have to comment on. So I'm just trying to have a little positivity mixed up in there. But my goal for the new year and into like Christmas season is to get back into the channels and get some stuff going out. On the Lone Wanderer's Bunker, the theme is preserving the past because it's a whole cosplay on, like fallout's happened, the nuclear bombs have dropped, and I'm preserving things. So we do the word of the day. Yes, ASMR from the bunker. There's a couple of videos on there now. They've had some good views for a first-time channel with only 3 subscribers. I have like 14 views on each one of them, so that's pretty good because I haven't been, putting it out there. But I am working on some scripts because I want to do some like RPGs of me in the bunker, like things we're doing, like going out to hunt or people trying to get into the bunker. So I'm trying to do like a little sketch. It's going to be more thriller than comedy, and I'm learning some Russian to go with it because the theme is that I share the bunker with Misha. He's a 64-year-old man from Belarus. He moved to Belarus to a mining town when he was a child, but he's actually from Leningrad. What's that?
Здравствуйте.
Yes, that's it. До свидания.
Здравствуйте means hello.
Yes. I thought it was privet.
Privet is less formal. Здравствуйте is more formal.
Oh, okay.
It's like hello and hi.
Hi.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I actually want to learn Russian.
Yeah. It's actually a pretty fun
I went on a mission trip to Russia when I was a believer.
Oh, there you
That's
go.
actually really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Did you meet any babushkas?
Oh yeah.
I love that word, babushka. It just rolls off your tongue. So,
And I got to try some really good borscht. I did not think borscht
ooh,
sounded good. It is delicious.
there's nothing wrong with beef.
I wasn't a big fan of beets, but now I
Oh,
am.
we grew up eating nothing but beetroot. So like I'm kind of over it, but I'm not. Like every now and then I'll get nostalgic for beetroot, but mm. So yeah, that's the channel. As for Halloween, to steal your tagline, live your life. It's just another day. It's fun. You're not gonna go to hell because there's no such thing. And yeah, celebrate. Do it. I'm gonna maybe have a seance by myself. Anyway, that's me.
Okay, Kitty. Same question to
So,
you.
speaking of the borscht, there's actually a similar thing. My grandmother was from Lithuania, and they actually have a cold beet soup that it's like a national dish in Lithuania. And so, just the borscht thing made me think of that. So I haven't really been doing as much. Like I've been having some health issues, but I am doing a little bit more like on TikTok where I've been filming like little snippets of some of the sewing and embroidering that I've been doing. And that's really about it. I've popped on and done a couple things. Like I did some voice work for Almost a Doctor, along with Randolph Richardson for the solar system series he did, the 2-part series. And that was a lot of fun. And it's definitely something to check out.
You outdated. Sorry, Kitty.
Purple, I hate you. I love you, but I hate you. And for the commenter who said that I look too young to have a child that can read, my child is 7 years old, and I
And a
will be
miracle baby.
35 on December 19th. So
And a
I
miracle
am.
baby. I thought your baby's a miracle baby, isn't it?
In a way, yes. Like, I was, I had difficulty conceiving, and I had ended up pregnant, had a miscarriage, and within 2 months, I was still reeling from the miscarriage, but I ended up pregnant again. It was a high risk pregnancy, and my son was a planned C-section, full term. He weighed 6 pounds, 15 ounces, and was 20 inches at birth, which is like normal size. It's within the normal range. However, he still had to spend the first 5 weeks of his life in the NICU because he was not oxygenating. Like, it was actually horrifying seeing a grayish blue baby. And I didn't get to hold him till he was a week old because I had him in Daytona Beach, Florida, and they had to transfer him to a children's hospital in Orlando, which is an hour and a half away. I had a C-section, so I am stuck in a bed, gutted like a fish for 4 days. And so I couldn't see him, and that was literally the hardest 4 days of my life. And I have not, other than a few hours, if I need to go like run errands or go to a doctor's appointment or something like that, I've not been away from my child more than just a few hours ever since, because I don't know, I'm a little overprotective in that way. But I also look at statistics, and considering he's on the spectrum, he's at a higher risk of being preyed upon by a substantial margin. So I'd rather be like, I don't want to be a helicopter mom, but more like a stealth bomber, where it's like, I always see you, but I'm not going to intervene. Like, I'll let you fall down. I'll let you make your mistakes. But if there is danger, I will swoop in there like motherfucking Batman and just, obliterate anybody that, So, like, that's my thing. Like, I let him, like, make his own mistakes and learn from them. But, never anything that's going to do any lasting harm. Like once he was refusing to wear shoes, and there were sand spurs, like the sharp pokey ones.
Yeah.
And he had an absolute meltdown that he did not want to wear shoes, but still wanted to go play in the yard. And finally I said, okay, go.
Yeah,
I went, I got the
exactly.
first aid kit, I got the peroxide, I got, some Band-Aids and some tweezers. Not 5 minutes later, I hear the scream, and I'm like, right on cue. Like, he hobbles up, and he has not fought me about wearing shoes outside ever since. And I
Yep.
mean, yes, it's a little mean, but he
No.
really needs like concrete,
No,
like
exactly.
tangible examples for him to
Yeah.
understand. Because
You do.
abstract stuff
Sometimes
he doesn't get.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes you have to let them get in trouble, themselves in trouble. You just have to, as much as it hurts.
Oh, it was awful. But
Yeah.
again, it's a transfer. Like, it's not the end of the world. Like, it's uncomfortable, it hurts, but if you clean it up, put a Band-Aid on it, you'll be fine, And it was a valuable lesson for him. I was there to fix the boo-boo, but I did warn him ahead of time. He just didn't want to listen. He had to make that mistake himself, So, anyways, I have rambled on long enough. It's been a while since I've talked to people, so if you hadn't noticed. Yeah, I will send a link to my TikTok to Gigi if she wants to toss that in the description too. I haven't been posting on there as much either, but I am doing more there than I am on YouTube at the moment because it's a lot less upkeep and work, just like point and click, and I don't have to fiddle with any like OBS or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wasn't sure which link to put in for you. And I put for YouTube channel. Yeah, I can go back and change it and add your TikTok.
Yeah, no worries. Like, you don't have to. Like, I just figured if you wanted to, I would let you know because honestly, it's fine either way. Like, I'm just here making stuff here and there when I feel up to it and spending time having fun with people. And that's what the internet's for. It's for making connections to hopefully make the world a better place, because when we humanize people and see each other's differences and accept them and learn rather than just trying to blanket wash, like, oh, I don't agree with this, so it's all going to be evil, it's all going to be demonic, rather than learning about the cultural and historical significance of that holiday to different peoples, that's not the way to go.
No. And on that note, to anyone who hasn't heard it, even if we don't know you, I can speak for myself and say, I love you. You're a wonderful person.
You are valid.
Yes. All people are valid people. And what I have coming up later this week, I will be releasing a produced video that's a response to Alan Parr saying that if your church has a woman pastor, you need to leave.
Oh, motherfucker.
The absolute unmitigated misogynistic gall.
Yes. I think his real problem is that there are no women on par.
That was a bad nerd.
Oh, believe me, I make that pun a couple times during the video.
I love it.
I can't wait for that. I get to see it early because I pay money.
Yep.
And you still pay money because you can
Kitty
see stuff
does
earlier.
too. Yep.
There you go.
Pay
Granny money.
And next week on the stream, Ethan, your friendly neighborhood atheist, will be on, and we are going to be discussing friendly atheism, how to have more friendly conversations. And I'm probably going to get a second guest on that stream as well, but at this point it's just Ethan, but I am looking for another guest for that stream as well. And then today I finally got the interview done with Erica Gutzik-Gibbon to finish part 2 of the video I did in response to the Sean McDowell, William Lane Craig interview, where William Lane Craig is talking about his book, A Quest for the Historical Adam. And it's really great. I got Erica's perspective on his take on pre-primates, or I should say pre-human, early primates, how they could be Adam and Eve. So that part 2 is going to be great, and that won't get released until a week from Friday or Saturday.
Yeah, she's just a ray of sunshine, that girl. I love her. She's great.
And Mark Caesar, thank you so much for the super chat, and thank you for the compliment for the great stream. Okay, and Leanne says, "Creep it real."
Yes, Halloween puns.
Okay.
I'm here for it. This was a lot of fun.
It was. And we normally don't go quite this long, but I think it was well worth it. But thank you both for joining me. It has been wonderful. Kitty, you have
You're
had
welcome.
so much to add to this conversation.
I feel
And
like I
Lone-
added a little too much. Like,
And
I
Lone
wasn't
Wanderer gave us the material. I mean, we wouldn't have had the stream at all without Lone Wanderer. So,
Yeah.
both of you, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
No, it was great. Like, honestly, being able to like talk about like this stuff like in context rather than the way they want to demonize it. I'm glad that, you know, we're able to have these conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And with that, live your life.